Hello, friends. Welcome to Take Command of Your Business. My name is Zach Younger as the Regional Technology Director for Northern California, Hawaii region. We host this class in partnership with our brothers and sisters in the Maryland, DC region on the first Wednesday and the third Monday of every single month, where we take very timely, relevant topics inside of Command, maybe new updates, and we interpret that to you on how you can leverage these to increase your business and be as productive and profitable as possible. Before we dive into today's topic around military affiliations and our new Docusign forms through the California Association of Realtors, I want to introduce you to a very good friend of mine. For those of you that don't know, we have a new regional tech trainer in Maryland, DC. Those of you that have been on these calls before know that John Morris previously served as the regional tech trainer. He has been promoted in the Maryland, DC region and has top graded an incredibly talented person to take over as the regional tech trainer in Maryland, DC. Mr. Jack Crutchfield Jr., I want to give you the chance to say hello and introduce yourself to your first Take Command class.
Thank you so much, Zach. I greatly appreciate that introduction. Good afternoon, or now it's afternoon everywhere now. Yep, good afternoon, everyone. I am Jack Crutchfield Jr. I am the new Regional Technology Director of the Maryland, DC region on this side of town. So I'm very, very excited to hop on my first Take Command session. I'm glad you all can join us today. And we're talking about some very exciting new features today. As Zach mentioned, we have the military affiliations, and I think we still have the, if I'm not mistaken, still have the pin request active. We're going to talk about that, and then we're also going to hop into some Docusign questions. As the time goes on, if you have any questions in the chat as Zach is going on, I can hop into the chat and answer any questions you all may have. And then, yeah, let's have some fun.
Love it, Jack. Thank you so much and welcome. We're really excited to have you on the regional team for Maryland, DC, and I'm excited to continue partnering with you for our Take Command trainings with this relevant training. All right, guys, as we jump in, we always love starting off in this same way, shape, or form. In the chat, I want you to type in your name and your location. Where do you sell real estate? We have agents and realtors all around the country in these classes. Take this opportunity to introduce yourself to everybody on the call and tell them where you represent. Take this opportunity also to see where other realtors are joining from. And if you know a lot of people in that area, I suggest reaching out to them. Maybe do a direct message or find them in white pages and shoot them a text saying, it was great being on the class with you. I have family in Honolulu, Hawaii, or wherever the location is, and build a relationship. Something we've lost in classroom trainings, which is something that will come back and is starting to slowly come back, of course, in some of our market centers. We lose that shoulder to shoulder interaction with people that are like-minded, like all of us on this class. And so if you see somebody on Kauai or in the Bay Area of California, or maybe Eastern Shore, Maryland, take this opportunity to introduce yourself, build that relationship, and help build each other's businesses. I think it's a really great opportunity for us.
Pull up the one I just texted you.
Okay, Mo, just kidding. I'm going to mute you, buddy. You got double muted. Perfect. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. The first thing that we're going to jump into today is military affiliations. For those of you that are not related to a military member or yourself are not a military member, don't take a nap at this time, because I bet there's somebody in your market center that is and may not be on this class. And you might take this opportunity after the class to say, hey, I just learned how you need to make sure that you get credit for your military service inside of our Keller Williams ecosystem. So I would charge all of you to pick that one person you know in your market center that is a service member or was a service member, and reach out to them and tell them, hey, did you know that inside the settings of Command, you can access your marketing profile? To get there, you go to Connect Settings, Marketing Profile. This is where you get to put in your military affiliations. It's about a third of the way down on the screen. You're going to see your affiliations and military affiliations. For those of you that need to select one of these, you just choose this and you're going to see there's multiple choices: active duty, reserves, veteran, or military spouse. Now, let's just say that you're an active duty military. When you select that, you're going to see what military service. So you can actually get credit for the specific military division that you are a part of, whether that's the Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, National Guard, Navy, and we even have Space Force in here. So you can choose any of these military services, and then you're going to hit the add button. When you hit add, it will then create that, and it'll give you another drop down because some of you have actually served in multiple. Maybe you're a veteran of one division and active in another, or maybe you are active duty and you're the spouse of another person that's active duty or something along those lines. We want all of you to have the credit for that. Now, here's the last part that you cannot skip. You need to save these details. So make sure after you add that, a lot of people see that this gets added in and then they leave. They feel like that's been done. However, if you don't go to the bottom and hit the save button, it won't stick. So we're going to give you guys 1 minute right now. And some of you I can see looking over at different screens are already filling this out. I see you, Dennis. Okay, good. And for those of you that don't have two screens, you're going to go into your settings. And for those of you that aren't military and not married to a military member, I'd urge you to go into settings right now, click on connect settings, go to your marketing profile. For those of you that aren't military, you might take this minute and just make sure that your marketing profile is complete with all the details that you would want anyone to be able to see. Remember, your marketing profile is what shows up inside of your mobile app, also on kw.com if someone finds you there. The military designations are going to be public facing very soon on your profile. But as of right now, the military designations are going to show up inside referrals. So when you're looking to refer business, you can say, I want to refer this to a military veteran, and you'll be able to see that before you send them the referral, which is really great. And we'll make sure that we get this set up. Then those of you that are military, just scroll down a little bit and make sure to add the affiliation, and then make sure you hit save. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I know it makes it easier for most of you to be able to do this. And we're just going to take a minute and complete that. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat box or raise your digital hand, or just go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask questions right now as well. While you guys are working on that, I'd strongly encourage you also to reach out to your local leadership team, for those of you that are military, and make sure that they have you on their list. All of our leaders in all of our market centers around the country are keeping an internal list of all of the military members so that you can be properly recognized locally for your service as well. And so I'd encourage you to shoot an email to your leadership team saying, hey, I heard that you're tracking military within our market center. Just want you to know that I served on this branch and whatever that is. I know it feels weird. You're kind of like asking for recognition with it, but please don't. Like, we want you to be recognized for the service that you've given and are currently given through military, and we want to know both locally and at Keller Williams International so that you can get the recognition you deserve. Thomas, I see your hand, my friend. What's up?
Quick question related to that. I'm wondering from the leadership side, is there a way for me to see who is within command already set that up in their profile as far as the affiliation?
Great question, Thomas. Not yet. However, this morning in the MCTT Discord, I posted a spreadsheet of all the people as of last week in our region that have done the designation. And as I get updated spreadsheets, I'll put that in there for you. Jack, you mentioned how to request pins. The only request pins that I'm aware of right now is for leaders to fill it out. Is there a link for agents to request pins?
That's a great question. I'm not thoroughly sure. I know this is for leadership. Yes.
Perfect. This is why, guys, we want to make sure that you are recognized by your local leaders because there is a special memorabilia device that's going to be sent to all of our military members from your local leadership team. And they're going to be requesting a certain amount of these commemorability pins that you'll be able to get access to because of your service. And it's just a really great way to recognize you. And so make sure you email your local leaders so that they can make sure that you get credit for that and receive that small token of our appreciation as well.
Yep. And
Thank
then
you, Jack.
yeah, and then for the another thing to add, excuse me, Zach, to have your leaders complete that form, and it'll be available up until Veterans Day, until November 11th. After that, all market centers will have to visit the Red Label website to include the order for the Red Label. They'll have to order through the Red Label store directly.
You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any final questions on military affiliations? Fantastic. That leads us into our second portion of today's class, and that is around Docusign forms. Now, we have a lot of people on this call in California, and I mentioned at the beginning of this class, a big announcement happened in California. The California Association of Realtors, the largest association of realtors in the country, just finalized on Friday that now Docusign has access to all of our CAR forms. Previous to that, Zip Forms was the exclusive provider of the ability to fill out our association forms. In Hawaii, I know that you guys have had .loop and Zip Forms, and I'm not certain of your associations for Docusign Access. Richie, I see you, and Dennis and Julie. Do you guys have your Hawaii forms inside Docusign yet?
Yes.
Okay, good, perfect. Good. I'm so glad. And for those of you that don't already have Docusign Forms access, what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that you know how to get access to those CAR forms inside Docusign. I do want to give a little stipulation here. Those of you in California should follow along with what I'm doing and probably do the same thing that I do. And those of you in other areas, Hawaii, Maryland, DC, you might choose to follow along with this too. You might not have access to the Docusign forms already, and you'll be able to do this same tactic, just with one little tweak. And the California Association of Realtors have had a partnership with Zip Forms, and I know most of your associations also has Zip Forms. So in order to access your Docusign forms, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to take you through this process. To do that, the easiest way is to go into your Docusign Rooms account and then add the affiliation. To get to your Docusign Rooms, you can go to realestate.docusign.com and log in. However, most of us tend to go there through an active opportunity that we have. So I'm going to go into an opportunity that I have connected to my Docusign Rooms account already. Many of you already know this go to transaction button will open up the Docusign room for that opportunity. So I'm going to go to transaction, and that's going to open up my Docusign Rooms. Once a day, you do have to log in. There we go. Now I'm inside that room with all the documents that have been signed or sent for Docusign. You can see that the Zip Forms integration, there's my Zip Forms, and then ones that are completed as a PDF, and then the signed documents live there as well. In order to get access to the California Association of Realtors forms without having to go through Zip Forms, up at the top of your Docusign Rooms account, you're going to click on your picture and you're going to go to Preferences. And again, those of you that aren't in California, you might choose to go and double check that this is done as well. Once you go to Preferences, you're going to go to Integrations. There you're going to see Form Settings, and I can add a provider. I'm going to choose California Association of Realtors. That's now going to ask me for my NERDS number. Some of you have your NERDS number memorized. That's your National Association of Realtors ID. For those of you that don't have it memorized, there is a tool. If you just Google NERDS number lookup, NRDS number lookup, you will find that the National Association of Realtors has a Find Your Nerds ID. All you have to do is fill out the form. There's two options. The easy button, which they recommend, is by doing it by last name and email. So all I do is type in my last name and my email address according to the National Association of Realtors without a typo. I hit submit and there's my nerds number. I can go copy that number and then I can paste it right into my integrations. I hit validate. It's now cross-referencing it. And now I have access to all of the California Association of Realtors forms. Jack, I'm putting you on the spot here. Would you be willing to actually share your screen and show how you pull a form out of their local association?
Sure. Let me log in. And
The
then,
reason I'm asking Jack to do this, sorry, Jack, to put you on the
Oh, you
spot
good.
here.
oh, you good?
This is so new in California that I haven't even played with this very much. But I wanted to make sure that you guys had access to it. I still use zip forms, to be fair, to do it because I've been using zip forms for the last 10 years to access all of my car documents. But Jack is more versed in being able to pull those forms. And so you'll be able to see in his account how you can access those association forms and be able to make any changes to them and send it out in an envelope for e-signature as well. So bear with us just 1 second. Jack's going to log in and he's going to be able to pull this up. And then you guys start thinking of any questions that you have regarding access to these forms inside Docusign, and we'll be able to answer those questions. We'll be done with this topic probably in the next 8 minutes, and then we'll just have time for Q&A for the rest of our time to dive into all things command. Okay, Jack, what do you got, my friend?
All right, so I'm currently in a Docusign example room, excuse me, and I'm inside of documents, and my goal is to actually go to add so we can go over the process, especially for the Maryland DC region, what it looks like to actually pull the documents over. So in the top right of the corner, we're going to look for our add blue tab inside of our room, inside of documents. So of course we have computer, Docusign forms, zip forms. Where we want to focus on is zip forms, Docusign forms. And now, because again, we've already previously went through the process with Zach to validate our NERS number. So after you successfully have done that inside of preferences, you select your association, your company forms. Then when we come to our room inside of documents, once I click add and I say Docusign forms, then now here for our particular region in this particular market center that I'm here with for this example, which is Upper Marlboro, we have groups and then libraries. So groups will focus solely on the form sets for your buyer, listing, rental, sales, contract form sets here. For libraries, if I click more, this is just the libraries for the specific association. So whether it be Bright MLS in New Jersey, Anne Arundel County over here in Maryland, Carroll County, Frederick, Howard, Prince George's County, Northern Virginia, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to select libraries to say Anne Arundel County. So now we see we have the library selected on the left. Now in the middle, it will be in alphabetical order or numerical order if there is a number associated with those forms. So now I can go here, and if there's a specific form set that I'm selecting, I can say select all, or I can just solely click on the forms I'm looking for. Once I select the forms that I'm looking for, then I can say add selected. Please wait. Now the room has let us know that we have successfully uploaded our Docusign forms in the room. And then of course, from this area, this is where you can actually click on the physical document, open the physical document, and then now you see all of the fillable spaces. Now, Zach, let me ask you this also. For these fillable spaces, what would be best practice is to fill out the form as we go, or actually provide the information inside of details first?
To be fair, I use zip forms and I have it autofill from my cover sheet.
Yes.
And so, but with Docusign, you can actually sync the property, or excuse me, the opportunity details to the room and it can actually fill out this information too. Is that right, Jack?
That is correct. All right, so I'm going to say save and close. Always verify your information inside of the form and always hit save and close. You do not want to lose your changes and start over.
Now, if I wanted to send something out for signature right from this DocuSign room, because a lot of people that have used zip forms would send it out for signatures right from zip forms using their DocuSign integration. If I wanted to have this addendum signed, I would just click the box, and then how would I send it out for signature?
Sure. After I have selected the necessary documents to send off for signatures, as you see here, as you click the box, then we have some options areas here with these icons. All right. So the icon we want to look for is the little pencil that says create envelope. This is where we are initiating an envelope. So our goal is to send off these documents to our clients for signatures and initials and etc. So we'll select the create envelope pencil. So now an envelope is being initiated within the same room. And now our envelope details pops up for us. So we have envelope name. We have already had the documents that we want to add to this specific envelope. Then we're going to focus on the recipients to the envelope and then a message to our recipients. So first, as default, envelope name will always say, please Docusign. You can always change it to please Docusign for 1234 Main Street if need be, or any envelope name you would like to have it as. So now we see to Zach's point, the forms that we have selected from the room are now the documents that are added to the envelope. The third thing we want to focus on is where it says add recipients to the envelope. As the sender, you will automatically receive a copy. So we want to say add recipient. Now, we have several options that we can use. We can use PreTag Roles. We can use room participants, meaning your information that you synchronize from the opportunity to DocuSign. It will look for your room participants, as well as if we want to manually add someone, if we want to just add their name and email address and basically their permissions, we have the opportunity to do so.
I do want to add to this, Jack. In general, I recommend using pre-tagged roles. Yes. What I found using pre-tagged roles is it actually drops the signatures and the initials in the proper places. So when you choose pre-tagged roles, go ahead and select pre-tagged roles. You're going to select which of the signers or the roles for the signers that DocuSign has already pre-identified on these forms. And then once you select who's going to be signing the document, then into the recipient dropdown, you can select anybody that has access to this DocuSign room, including your client and yourself, to be signers with that. And then those pre-tagged roles will then be associated, and the signatures, the initials are all in the right spot already.
Awesome point. And thank you, Zach. Awesome point. Another thing, as we add the pre-tag roles, now you can see the pre-tag role, say listing agent. For this example, we have seller one. So you know what is going where. Lastly, and we're going to take a look at that in just a second. So lastly, we have the message to all recipients. By default, the email subject will always say, please DocuSign, and you have the option to enter a message here if need be. So I'm just going to say, please DocuSign. And now we want to navigate to the top right of the screen again and select the gold button that says next. Now to Zach's point, now that we move over into the actual documents, now we can see here the pre-tag roles for listing agent, which is signified in gold. If I move up to the top left here, we see we have my name as the listing agent. So my color is gold. So if I click this drop down, you'll see my seller one is signified in blue. So now we see where the seller is actually signing here. So we can actually toggle that back and forth. So you can see the standard fields over here where you have the option to click and drag or fix anything if need be. And then now if I select back to myself, you'll see the gold populate again as I'm going to the specific initial areas. All right, and then here's our pre-tag initial boxes here. Another thing I want to keep in mind also is you see that the initial boxes are kind of like translucent a little bit, and then you see these other boxes are solid. So if there's any solid color standard fields, that is signifying. So I'll select this one. On the right-hand side, you'll see that this is actually a required field, meaning this is required to sign and move through the form. With the clear initial boxes here for my seller, this is not a required field. This may be an optional area, and it will not hinder your clients from completing the form because it's not a required field. However, if I go over to the left-hand side after selecting the actual initial, then you can see that it will, if I'm making a required field, you'll see it highlight blue. All right, and then here we are again with the blue. So as you can see, best practice is to just go through the forms, of course, after selecting the pre-tag roles, just to make sure that everything is aligned up. So I know it kind of gets a little technical. You want to make sure that it's lined up on the line correctly and not bleeding over into another box.
Jack, I was switch tasking a little bit with going and grabbing a Facebook group where we're going to post this recording. Did you talk about that sample form watermark?
Yes, so the sample form watermark, I know that I spoke with the enablement team about this because I know that it was something that was happening not only with Upper Marlboro, but then other market centers or certain regions, about this initial intent of the sample watermark being its an original functionality, of course, for legal purposes, so that no one is just downloading forms and just passing them over and just, you know, just legal protection for everyone all across the board. Now it is produced some disgruntled individuals about this. So I will be reaching out to the enablement team to get some additional info about the ETA of this rectification.
One thing I have found is that most associations have copyrights on top of their documents, which means that you cannot go and grab those forms and then duplicate a blank form to fill out in other places. In California, Zip Forms was the only place where you could fill out a form. Docusign, to protect the copyright of all these associations, if you go and pull up a blank form, it's going to drop this sample form watermark on top of it. So if you ever come across a form with that sample form, you just need to go back to the form and fill out the form. Usually when that sample form shows up, it's because you didn't fill out the form with the information that needed to be on there, like the property address or whatever that is, which means that it's still a blank form, which Docusign then puts the sample form on it so that you can't pretend to send it out for signatures and download it and then send it off to anybody else to do whatever they want with it. That would be copyright infringement. And so if you ever see that sample form inside of DocuSigns, it's because the form has not been completed before you're ready to send it out for signatures. And so if you ever see that, just go back, fill out all of the required fields, and then that sample disappears so that you can send off for signatures without that.
Absolutely.
In general.
Yes, in general. So of course, when we didn't see it, that wasn't in its intended functionality. Now that it has launched, we just make sure we provide clarity to all of our market centers to let them know that this needs to be a completed form ready to initiate in the envelope, and then that sample watermark will disappear. So now I've hit back out of the envelope. So say I'm not ready to send it, because in this case, I just figured out, and Zach just told me, I need to fill this document out because I see the sample watermark form. We want to fix that. So now we'll go back, hit the back button inside of the envelope. Now we get to the envelope details. Always, always make sure you hit save and close. It is your best friend in DocuSign. Save and close. And now we see here this particular envelope that we're working on today. As you can see the date, November 3rd. I have it as a draft. So we haven't sent it out. There's no status just yet. Now we can navigate back to documents and fill out, as you can see in the preview, it says sample. Now we can go back and fill out this information, and the sample watermark will be removed.
Love it. Jack, thank you so much for showing that. I do want to bring up again, the reason that you want to have access to these DocuSign forms inside your DocuSign account, even if you're going to use Zip Forms as your primary form management tool. Sometimes there's an opportunity to just send out a single form. And having access to the California Association forms or any of your associations inside Docusign, sometimes it's easier just to go into the Docusign room from command, grab that addendum or that one form, use the pre-tagged roles and send it out for signatures without having to go all the way to zip forms just to grab the form and then use Docusign to send it out for signatures. You could stop using that intermediary as zip forms when you're already in command, jump into the Docusign room and grab any of those CAR forms and send out for signature as well. Jack, is there anything that we missed that we really need to touch on with that?
Not that I can think of. If anyone else can think of anything, please be sure to pop into the chat, or you may raise your digital hand and we'll be happy to help.
Yep. All right, guys. That concludes our topic for today. So if you want 25 minutes of your day back, you're welcome to jump off. We're going to go ahead and stop the recording for those that are watching this, and then we're going to open this up for general Q&A so that we can dive into all things command and any questions that you guys have.